Hello everyone. Today we're going to continue to work on strength building, but with that lovely awareness of the inside out kind of actions and mindfulness that will really help us build strength with integrity, but will also really fully respect our nervous systems. And I mention this because a lot of really faster paced yoga can, if we are prone to any sort of anxiety or excitability, it can actually overstimulate our nervous system. But you can build strength in a way that doesn't do that. And we are going to touch on that a little more today. Just a brief little mention of our nervous system, which can be really complex, but the part of the nervous system we're most concerned with is called the autonomic nervous system. Basically has two branches. It's got the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. And the ability to calm yourself, soothe yourself, has to do with the parasympathetic nervous system. And that is an important nerve called the vagus nerve. And without being overwhelming here, the vagus nerve is so integral to everything in our bodies because it regulates things such as our breathing, our heart rate, our blood pressure, and it also if you have, this is where the language gets confusing. If you have high vagal tone, what that actually means is you have a high ability to self-soothe and bring yourself back down again. So it can be confusing. You have low vagal tone, you may have problems maybe feeling wired but tired at night. So your body's physically tired, but your mind won't shut down. And that is a vagus nerve problem. So I'm going to show you a couple of techniques. One we do every time we do yoga anyway, but there's one that is sounds a little strange, looks a little strange. I'm going to show you that one. Also, there's many techniques to increase vagal tone, by the way. And just quickly, one of the ones we do, which helps with that vagal tone, is it builds interoception, and we do that each and every time. And that's just our very simple check-in at the beginning of yoga practice and throughout the practice, just coming back to the breath and really going in and seeing what's going on right now. And that simple practice will regulate the nervous system, especially if it's done regularly. So we'll do this more at the end, but I don't want to have to explain a lot at the end, so I'll do it now. Another technique for creating higher vagal tone is a yoga technique called Bhramari, and it's very simple. And this is where you might want to make sure you're on your own for your yoga practice, because it can sound a little weird. But what you're doing is you're taking a full deep breath in, and you have a really low sort of humming resonance sound when you exhale. So I'll just quickly show you, and as I said, we'll do it more at the end. So if everyone will do this together, we're going to take a deep breath in. So what you're doing, you're actually humming as low as you can go and as long as you can go on the exhale, and they'll create a little vibration in your throat. And why does that help? Well, the vagus nerve is sort of just goes everywhere in the body, and one of the places it comes down from the brain, of course, and it goes down the neck, down the back of the throat and the sides of the throat as it goes down the trunk. But where you can affect it almost immediately from going down from the brain is by that humming noise. And it's not just the noise, of course, it's the vibration. So let's just do that a couple more times. Don't be shy. If you need to, make sure you close the door if anybody else is in the house so they don't wonder what's going on. Just take a nice full inhale. So again, we'll do that more at the end. I don't want all of us to get so relaxed before we begin. But let's just take a moment right now and close your eyes and find a position that really works for you right now. You want to think about the alignment, and also remember, comfort is important. And just slowly, as you form the alignment, as you relax the face, all the things you know to do, you're releasing the shoulders away from the ears. Just sit there, just very quietly, and go inward and see what's going on. What could use just a maybe 5% more comfort in your body? What needs a little tweaking right now in your posture? And then just slowly layer in your breathing. You're just breathing long, slow breaths. Sometimes it actually helps to check in, to actually put a physical hand on your own body and see if this works for you. Put a hand on your heart, maybe a hand on your tummy. And just for the next 3 really long, slow breaths, just keep the hands there. And you know by now we're trying for an inhale and exhale of at least a 6 count. Just continue to breathe like this and just settle in to your body. Settle into your practice. And then you can remove the hands to the thighs and just have a couple more soft, long breaths. And just bringing your gaze forward, opening your eyes, bring your arms to the sides of the body. As you inhale next, bring the arms right up to the sides, over your head. Reach as high as you can. So you're trying to press into the sits bones on your next inhale and get even longer. Just feel that length. And then release. Nice big wide semicircle with the arms. Eventually bring the hands to the heart. Namaste. And from here, let's go ahead and come to our backs briefly. Remember, our focus is on building strength today, but with real integrity and awareness of what's happening. And that will help regulate your nervous system. So coming down to the floor, again with awareness of the core. When you first get there, let's just have the full frontal stretch. Reaching with arms and legs, but remember, you want to feel that stretch happen or begin right in the midline to either direction, opposing directions. And then we're going to come into full flexion. So bend the knees and envelop your legs with your arms. And if you can, with a firm inward movement of the core, you can bring your head, your forehead between your knees. And one breath and one exhale rather, and then inhale back out again. Really stretch. And And then go ahead and come back into flexion just to your level. So you want to be able to feel the core drawing in, and only if it's comfortable for your neck will you bring your head between your knees a little bit. And again, inhale, stretch out. And already you might be able to feel what's happening just with those two sort of opposite movements, full extension and then full flexion on the exhales. Lovely. And then on your next inhale from the flex position, just go ahead and release your head to the floor. Keep your knees nice and high up. And let's just have a few breaths with the knees raised closer to the chest. As you exhale, bring the knees closer in towards the chest. Flex the feet. As you inhale, let it come away, just nice and gentle. And again, exhaling, letting the knees come in towards the chest. And then they come away a little bit as you inhale. One more time as you exhale. Knees come closer in towards the body. And then inhale, they come away. And you're just going to go ahead and bring the feet right to the floor and just walk just a couple paces, the feet away from each other, just a little bit. It doesn't have to be too terribly wide. And bring the arms to the sides of the body. And you want to tuck those shoulder blades right underneath you to broaden the front of your chest. And then as you exhale, send both knees over to the right and press into the big toe side of your left foot gently. Just feel it anchoring to the floor. As you inhale, the knees come back to center. And as you exhale, they go over to the left. And then you can press a little more into the right big toe side of your foot. And just feel whatever consequences, whatever effects that has on your body. Inhaling to center. Exhaling over to the left again. To the right. And then press into the left big toe side of your foot. Just do this a couple more repetitions on either side and just be really thorough and let your focus be on exactly what's happening with these subtle, gentle movements. Your breath is long and slow, and you're moving in rhythm to your own breath. Very good. And then when you feel complete with that and you've done an even amount on either side, the next time your knees are to center, bring your feet a little closer in together and again, draw the thighs close in towards the body. From this position, go ahead and put your hands behind your neck and your thumbs can point down. I like to do that. It feels like my neck is really held and safe when I do that. And the elbows can splay out to either side. And from here, feel your tummy button draw in. Feel the low back press a little more towards the floor. Feel that strength in the core. And then go ahead and straighten the leg to the best of your ability. And from this position, with the legs vertical, you're going to have a big inhale. When you exhale, make sure the low back is pressing into the floor and you're lowering your right leg almost to the floor. Continue that exhale and bring it right back up again. And then inhale fully. And when you exhale, left leg goes down almost to the floor and then comes back up again. Same exhale. Big inhale at the top, and let's continue just like that. Remember, you want to feel the engagement, that three-step engagement in your core. So you're feeling, yes, the low back is pressed into the floor when you exhale, and the tummy button, of course, is going inward, but you're also feeling really deeply the lower abdomen, deep in the lower abdomen is drawing in together. See if you can feel that really thorough core work. And remember, the low back is making contact with the floor at all times when you're exhaling in this movement. Now just see if you can keep this going just for a few more repetitions. The strength building really requires a good strong core. And if you don't have that yet, you can always work on that throughout each and every pose, and it will build up. So go ahead and wind this up now. So make sure you've done an even amount on both sides. And when you've done that, you can release the arms, bend the knees, bring those thighs closer into the body, and just widen the groins, widen your thighs, and just start to rock side to side. And just go ahead and have your a little exploration here. So after you've gone side to side a few times, that lovely feeling starts to dissipate just a little bit. Come to stillness, and still with the, maybe you can hold the knees, but still with the thighs a bit wide, just start to move a little bit on your sacrum. So it feels a little bit like a little pendulum. Just go a little bit left to right in a circular motion, little half circle. And you can arrange your knees and thighs, whatever position feels good, but I really want you to feel complete movement, even minutely, in that little, almost a little rotation, half rotation in the sacrum. Very good. Lovely. And then do a little cross of the ankles. And if you're able to do this, we're going to try to rock and roll on our spine. Remember, round that spine and see what happens. And just play with it. Don't come up straight away. Roll back and forth. And finally, we come on up to seated. Let's just experiment a little bit with that core strength you've switched on. And so if you'll bring your legs nice and close together, but if you look down at your knees, from your knees to your feet, it kind of looks like a little slide. And that's what you want to see. And you can hold on to the sides of your knees with the fingers underneath the knees. And see if you can get really tall. Feel your sits bones, press into those sits bones, and feel the alignment, head over heart, heart over pelvis. Feel that lovely alignment, and then press into your heels a little bit. And just see, maybe you'll need to roll those shoulders up, back, and down. I can feel that in my own. What you want is length in your neck, but you also want some feeling of wideness in your collarbones. And from here, let's go ahead and keep the length in our spine. This, you may not be able to go very far, but on your exhale, really firm tummy, let's just start bringing our torso closer into our thighs. And as you do that, don't let your knees splay open. That's what's going to want to happen. You're going to keep weight evenly on big toe and little toe side of the foot. So you might just go an inch, but really firm tummy, and keep your posture lined up, the torso lined up. So you're not coming into a flexion in your spine. You're just trying to come forward, and all the time keeping that big toe on both sides anchored to the floor. You might surprise yourself, and you might think this is easy, and then, ooh, no, it's not. So just see what's happening here, and maybe come back and do it again. Okay, so you come back on the inhale, come forward on the exhale, and it feels like you're just trying to pull out the spine of your pelvic bowl, out of your pelvic bowl just a little bit. Very good. And then let's just play with Navasana. And I know this is no one's favorite pose, but we're just going to explore our core strength here. So this might be your best position, where just you hold and you really get vertical in your posture, press into the heels, and start playing with the core strength. If you've got weak core, abdominal core strength, this is a really good position. Or you might be able to do the same thing, but just let go in the arms, but still have your heels, and play with every time you exhale. Bring that core in towards the spine a little more. Or you might be able to lift the heels, and again, you'll probably need to clasp the legs. This can all Just test. And then, of course, you might be able to let go in the arms. And come on back with feet to the floor. Just have a little pause. Inhale, nice and vertical. And exhale, just bring the tummy and the torso a little closer in. And now what I'd like you to do is just try it again to whatever your level is. And just play with it just for another few breaths, okay? So just choose whatever level you're on. You're trying to balance a little bit on those sits bones if you're raising the legs off the floor. And feel the firmness in your abdominal core. You do not want to feel any strain in your low back. If you're feeling strain in your low back, you'll need to back right out and do the next level behind it, okay? So just really keep your awareness wide open. Lovely. And then exhale, come on out. Little cross over the ankles and just see, can you come up this way? We're going to come to hands and knees. If that doesn't work for you, just come on up. We'll all meet in hands and knees position. Very nice. And just do a few cat-cow stretches now when you're inhaling. First, feel your spinal extension and just allow that spinal extension to help create the lift in both the breastbone and then the tailbone. So it goes right into a back bend from extension. And then the exhale phase, you want to feel that rolling in the abdominal core and the rounding in the spine. And just a couple more breaths like that. Just rolling through on the rhythm of your own breath. And then wherever you are in this process, the next time you exhale and begin the rounding of the spine, go ahead and sink your hips towards your heels. You can go ahead and bring your elbows and forearms to the floor. Let's have a few breathing repetitions of just flexion and extension. So as you inhale, you're coming up. Remember, feel the spinal extension and just let that spinal extension be what encourages your head to lift a little bit. And then exhale, hips back towards the heels, elbows on the floor. And neck is relaxed, low back is relaxed. And then you lift back up on the inhale. Nice extended spine. And then exhale back to pose of a child. And just one more repetition like that. As you inhale, you're lifting off. Find those inner hands. Find the extension in your spine. And then exhale. Release back down again. Very good. And then coming back up into the hands and knees position. From here, flex your toes under. Put your hands one hand length further ahead. And we're going to, you know about spiraling in the arms by now. Most of you do, even if you don't call it that. But I really want you to pay particular focus here. So you know where the inner hands are. You know where the roots of the fingers are. Find that place. And then just very gently, there's a tiny spiraling, feels like it's actually happening in the shoulder joint in your arms. But feel as though the inner hands, it's almost like you're trying to open a jar. And in the left hand, it's going counter or anti-clockwise. And in the right hand, it's going just slightly clockwise, beginning from that inner hand position. So you're not just pressing into the inner hand, it kind of spreads throughout the whole hand. It's so subtle. But notice when you do that, how easy it is. If you look down at your inner elbow creases, they go forward. And that's because you are externally rotating in your shoulders, and that's what you want in downward facing dog. So we do this all day long, internal rotation, so that's why we don't practice it quite as much in our poses. And also you're not as strong in your shoulder girdle when you do that. So you want to have an external rotation. That's what this is all about. So find those inner hands, flex the toes under, feel that little spiraling action, relax your neck, and then lift your knees and hips off the floor into your downward facing dog. Now from here, let's go ahead. I want you to find the position where your heels can be as close to the floor as you can. So you might need to step forward a little bit of your hands. Can you just plug your heels a little more into the floor? And still feel that little spiraling in your arms. Lovely. And then come on to, with more weight, onto the left leg and foot. You can lift your right heel off the floor. Really root into that heel, into the big toe and little toe side of that heel on the left. And then switch and do that on the right. So you're feeling really rooted and grounded. Give that just another breath on the right side, just pressing into that heel as thoroughly as you can. And then back. And then maybe you can bring your feet back into the classic downward facing dog. Now your heels might still be off the ground a little bit. Remember, energetically you're thinking about bringing those heels right back towards the wall behind you. Maybe they touch the floor, maybe they don't. You've got that spiraling action in your arms. Your neck is completely relaxed. From here, we're going to come into plank pose. So find your inner hands. Find your core strength as it carries you forward. And then immediately you find that strength in the upper arms. You find the strength in your thighs, and the core is remaining strong. Find your big toe mounds. Make sure there's weight there. And then on the next exhale, let's come into downward facing dog again. So really taking that abdominal core in and up, pressing into those inner hands. Come on back to your downward facing dog. Relax your head and neck. Nice big, long, full breath. I know your arms are working hard. And then one more time, we're going to come into plank pose. So again, the core has to be strong to begin. As you start to shift the hips, the weight of your hips forward, you find your inner hands, you plug them in, your arms are strong, your thighs are strong, of course your core is strong. Distribute the weight so it's on the big toe mound as well as the little toe mound of your feet. And then let's all touch our knees to the floor. And can we come to the floor? Try to bring your chest first. So it's going to really challenge your arms. And of course, whenever you need to, you're just going to put your tummies to the floor. So if you get here and you think, oh, that's not going to work, it's absolutely fine. Just to lay your tummy, your thighs down. And let's come onto the floor. Forehead to the floor. Bring your hands right in line with your rib cage or your armpits. And just notice as you roll your shoulders up, back, and down, is there any discomfort in your shoulder itself? And if this just doesn't feel good, we're going to do cobras, and you're going to do it with the forearms and elbows to the floor if your shoulders are really uncomfortable. And so in this position, what you're going to do is you're going to feel the tailbone nice and heavy. And when we inhale, you're just going to traction the floor towards you a little bit and let the extension of your spine happen first, and then a little lift in your head and shoulders. You're just gazing forward a couple inches. You're not cranking your neck forward. It's just feels really natural. So there is what you're going to do if you have any shoulder problems or just a little niggle in your shoulders today. If that is too easy, then you're going to put your hands back into that sort of normal cobra position. It's a little more intense. Elbows more pointing back or towards the ceiling.
Everything else is the same. The tailbone's nice and heavy towards the floor. And it's on an inhale that you start to traction the elbows back, and you let the spinal extension be what encourages the head to lift. And you exhale, come down. Let's just do this a few times on your own breath. Feel thoroughly that spinal extension as you lift up. And then you're releasing as you exhale. And for most of us, this continuous movement will feel best and it's probably safest. But if you've been practicing a long time and you'd like to hold your cobra through maybe 3 breaths, you can feel free to do that. You've got to make sure that the shoulders are away from the ears, neck's nice and long, and there's no discomfort in your low back. Very good. And wherever we are in this process now, next exhale, we're going to lower foreheads to the floor and just release the body in this prone position for a breath. And just feel, or maybe 2 breaths, really feel the low back relax. And then bringing the hands closer into the body, to the rib cage. We're going to lift up. And we're just going to very, very slowly come into a position where we can come into standing. So remember, each and every movement, we are practicing that interoception awareness of going inward. How are you feeling? So this position of my toes are tucked under, maybe that doesn't work for you. And so you may need to come out of that a little more quickly into the squatting position. But maybe your knees aren't doing so well. So maybe this doesn't work for you very well. And then you'll need to come out of it. So what I want you to do though is really find your way. And if this is okay for your knees, let this position, this little squat, be a way that you can start to stretch your back of your calf and your Achilles tendon. So you might want to shift your weight a little from one side, one leg to the other. And just feel your way up to standing. Long, slow breaths, a nice relaxed face. Remember, the final push when you come to standing is you do have to really feel incredible strength in your legs. So my finger points are on the floor. I'm raising my hips away from my heels and my thighs are working really hard. So from here, we will all come to standing. So coming to standing, let's go ahead and come into Tadasana. So just take your time. Again, you're going inward, you're feeling it from the ground up. You feel the feet pressing into the floor, the strength in your legs, the length in your torso. And keeping all of that in place, we'll just do our usual little breathing vinyasa. You turn the palms out and you feel that little lift in the heart and the broadening in your collarbones just by that little movement. And then you're inhaling, rising the arms up over your head. From this position, on the exhale, from a really long perspective or long angle in your spine, you're going to go over just a little bit, leaning over. I'm leaning to the right, and that opens up the left side of my body. So just feel that length and maybe look over to the left just a little bit underneath your elbow or upper arm. And then come up with the strength in your core as you rise back up again, nice and long. On an exhale is when you go over to the other side. So you want to feel, maybe press as you're going over to the left, maybe press into the right foot a little bit and reach a little more over to the right. You want to feel the stretch in the right side of your body as you lean over to the left, looking over towards the right. Nice and calm in your breathing, opening up the right side body. Remember, when you're kind of hanging here for a few breaths, it's really important to have a strong core as you come back up again. And then release down. And then let's just go up and down with the arms. As you inhale, palms are leading the way, you rise up, find length. As you exhale, you're closing the position with arms to the sides of the body. One more time. As you inhale, rise up. And as you exhale, lower the arms to the sides of the body. And this time, just rise the arms to shoulder height. And we're just going to see what's going on in our shoulders. So from this position, T position, really long from breastbone outward to either fingertip, I just want you to focus on your shoulder joints for a moment and just start to turn the palms forward. Just slowly notice if there's any discomfort in your shoulder joints, and keep turning the palms so they go upward. And then just turn the palms as much as you can in that direction. Maybe they'll face a little bit backwards. And then slowly revolve the other direction. So this time, when you begin, the palms will be straight down again. But then you're going to go the other way so that the backs of your hands are facing more forward. And you're just going to keep turning those palms as much as you can. Just notice what's going on in those shoulder joints and try to go back and forth 2 or 3 times. It's a little bit like you are encouraging synovial fluid to circulate in your joints. It's kind of like giving the Tin Man a little bit of oil. So that's why it's really good sometimes, especially if you are feeling niggles in your joints, to actually move them just to their range of motion. Very nice. And then release the arms to the sides of the body. So just a very quick little demonstration of the spiraling effect in our legs. Some of you might be aware of it to some extent. I haven't talked about it a lot. So just separate good hips width apart in the legs and feel the firmness in your feet for just a moment. And then what I want you to do is come up on your heels and just turn either foot out a little bit. And so in that position, I want you to just notice that the front of the body, the pelvis, is wider. And of course, the back of the body, your hips, your buttocks, maybe narrows and tightens a little bit. And just feel that, and then come back to the feet pointing straight ahead. And then of course, you're going to do the opposite and come to the ball of the foot, and you're going to bring the heels out, or maybe whatever feels best to you, but the toes are going to end up pointing inward just a little bit. Of course, that's the opposite of what we've just done. Now the front of your pelvis is closed, more closed. The back of your body, the hips and buttocks, is maybe more open. It's very simple, but I just want you to actually feel that. And then come on back to the starting position, toes are straight ahead. What I want you to feel is a spiraling through the rootedness of your feet. So your knees are actually not going to move. So it's a subtle movement. So nice and heavy in the feet, really rooted in the feet. What I want you to feel is the big toe side, just like in your hands in downward facing dog. Big toe side is rooted down, and it's a little sort of in the left, tiny little anti-clockwise movement in the foot, and the right is a little clockwise movement. I don't want to get too pedantic, but I want you to feel that so subtly as you're rooting into the feet, just that little movement in the feet. And that is an external rotation, just so slight. See if you can feel that, and then release it. And then I want you to do the opposite little movement. So to do that, you're still rooted in the feet, but the sort of intention comes more from the little toe side, where if you press down just a little more on the little toe side, and it's the opposite rotation. So now the left foot is going slightly clockwise, and the right is just ever so slightly going anti-clockwise. And you might feel things in your hip joints, and what your job is to make it so subtle that it is your absolute most beneficial, most maximum
little spiraling action. And you'll feel it all through the legs. And just a very quick demonstration in an actual pose. If you'll come out nice and wide in the feet. And we are going to turn the right foot right out. So pivot on the heel of your foot, right toes goes out. And then you want to kick the back heel back a little bit so the toes go slightly in into that very familiar warrior two position. And just so you can focus on your feet for just a moment, I want you to keep your hands on your hips and try that little spiraling. So first make sure that the right foot, your front foot, the toes are pointing straight ahead. And then feel that little external rotation, so slight. So you feel a little more rootedness in the big toe. And then it's like unscrewing a jar, just so slightly. There's little turning clockwise in the very sole of your foot. So subtle. And then, but you also want to feel the external rotation in the back foot. And it's even more subtle because this hip joint might not like it. And if it doesn't like it, then you're not going to do it. You're just going to root down, straight down. So just see what it feels like in the back foot. Feel the big toe. Feel the whole side of the foot. And just so gently start to turn in that little anti-clockwise direction in the foot, minutely. And then let's go ahead and come into warrior two. And it does take a little practice. And when you come into your warrior two, you may need to wiggle your feet to find that position. But as let's sink down and come back out by straightening the leg, lowering the arms, and come in and out. But each time you go in, I want you to try to feel the little external rotation starting from the soles of your feet. And come down as low as you can comfortably. Everything else is exactly the same. You are feeling some tone in your gluteal muscle, and so that back leg is straight, but just a tiny little external rotation. And if you're getting frustrated and you think, what is she talking about? Please don't worry. Again, this is sort of a practice. First it's the knowledge, but then it's a physical practice that's layered in. All right, so after maybe 3 to 5 in and out movements in warrior two, let's turn our toes back to center, and then we're going to do it to the other side. So now pivoting on the heel of the left foot, turn those toes out, and the back foot is, the heel's going to go back, and hands on the hips. We're not worried too much about other positional things. What I want you to feel is the little teeny external spiraling that starts in your feet. So again, in that front foot, make sure the toes are pointing forward. Find a little more rootedness in the big toe side. And then a tiny little spiraling externally. Now again, the movement is sort of, it's a little bit anti-clockwise, just slightly. And then the same thing in the back foot. What you want to feel is starting at the big toe. This time, of course, the movement on the back right foot will be clockwise. If you feel any discomfort in this hip joint, then you just don't want the back hip joint. You don't want to do it quite so much. All right, let's try this a few times. You're inhaling the arms out. Exhale, sink into the pose. And it's on an exhale, you'll release. And also just go ahead and go in on an exhale too. That just will assure you've got some core support. And you're just trying to subtly feel a slight little spiraling action starting from the feet upward. And arrange yourself so you can come in just as low as you can in your warrior two. And next time you exhale and come out, we'll all just come out and stay out. Pivot those feet forward. Put your hands right on your own hip joints. Inhale, get tall. exhale, let's go ahead and come forward. What you want is to keep the strength in your core, so you're not flexing right now. The spine, it's really straight. It's nice and strong from the pubic bone to the breastbone, and from your tailbone to the crown of your head. And then let's consciously release into the forward bend. If you'd like, if you're able to, you can put hands to the floor. And now, as and when you're ready, you can flex the spine. We're not going to be here long, so just release into it as much as you're able to do. What I want you to feel as you're going into this is it's as if your feet are just slightly isometrically trying to come slightly closer together. So you're not just releasing and overstretching the joints in the knee joint. You're actually holding the legs quite firm. So you're feeling that little isometric movement of the feet trying to come closer together as you release the spine right between your legs. And then to come up, we're going to bend the knees so it's nice and strong. You feel that nice rootedness even in the big toe side. Put your hands right to your thighs. Get that spine straight from pubic bone to breastbone first, and then we can come on up with real strength. And heel and toe until you can get close enough to have that little hop. Lovely. And then one thing I neglected to say is that you might need bricks. If you don't have bricks, please don't worry. We're going to have a little practice and play with Warrior 3. And we're going to do it with more focus on strength at first than balance. It will be a little of both. But if you have the bricks, that's just great. Put them in front. If you don't have bricks, may I suggest that you come to a place where you can maybe put fingertips to a wall. Okay. So to begin, wherever you are, find the position that works best for you. If you don't want to be next to a wall and you don't have bricks, you will be able to put your fingertips to the floor. You might just have to balance a little differently. Okay? So coming into mountain pose at the top of your mat. On your next inhale, let's just bring the arms straight up over the head. Feel that extension in the body. Feel the rootedness all the way into the heels. And then as you exhale, just sit down in your chair. So we're coming right into chair pose, Uttanasana first. And the object is to try to go as low as you can in your chair. So nice leg strength, while still keeping the front of the body open and strong, so you're not flexing at all in the spine. And try to hold this for 3 breaths when you find your maximum, building lots and lots of strength in the core, and particularly in the legs, and even in the arms. And from here, what I'd like you to do is keep the legs relatively where they are. So you've sat down as low as you can comfortably, and you're just going to pivot in your hip joints and bring the hands either to the floor or to the bricks. If neither works for you, you can come with fingertips to a wall, okay? I particularly like the bricks on a higher setting, but you might prefer them on a lower setting. So just play just a little bit here. What we're going to do is play with Warrior 3 from here. So everybody, when you find your position, fingertips to the wall, fingertips to the floor, or fingertips to a brick. I want you to start to shift your weight into your left foot. And then slowly on an exhale, bend the right knee and press into wherever your hands are. And can you bring your right knee close in towards the chest so the spine is a little flexed here? It's like a cat position. Core is engaged. And then on the inhale, you're going to kick that leg back. So that back leg, which is the right leg, it wants to be straight and the toes want to be pointed straight down. The supporting leg can be a little bit bent, and maybe it needs to be. And just feel this for a moment, wherever you are. And you might, if you are on bricks, you might want to move the bricks where you can really find the best
sort of support for yourself. If you're on your fingertips, easy enough, you can move around and find the balance. Once you feel okay here, now that back leg wants to be straight, remember, and it's pushing back towards the wall behind you. Maybe you can let go in the left hand and put that left hand to your abdomen. So it wants to be just below your rib cage, and just let it be supportive there. Just have nice, long, slow breaths. Very nice. And then when you're exiting this pose, again, you're going to bend that right knee, bring it in towards the body on an exhale, and then set it back down again. Bend the knees and slowly come right back up again. Lovely. And then this would be a really good time to try the bog standard normal warrior 3. So if you'd like to do that, remember you've got hopefully you've got the wall if you need it. But all we're going to do, we're going to do it on the same side. All we're going to do is come to whatever your version of warrior 3 is. I might get out of frame, but I can't really do balances very well on a mat. And if you'd like to step off the mat, feel free. Remember, in warrior 3, the standing leg can be a little bit bent, but you are trying to straighten the back leg as much as you can. And introduce as much of the balance aspect as your body can sustain for right now. And then when you come out, nice and gently and gracefully back to your mountain pose. Have a breath, little check-in before we go to the other side. So again, coming into a chair pose, find your position. On an inhale, you bring the arms straight up. Exhale, sitting into the chair as much as you can. And you're just breathing into the shape that works for you. And you're just trying to hold it for 2 or 3 breaths once you find it. It's actually a very strong strength building pose. And then keeping legs and feet where they are, we're going to pivot down when you're ready. Remember, you're either touching the wall if you don't have bricks, touching bricks, or you're touching the floor. And this time, the right leg's going to be the standing leg. Just make sure it really feels solid first before you try to lift off the other leg. And then on an exhale, you want to bring the knee towards the chest, really strong in the core. Feel a little roundedness in the spine. And then you can just kick that leg back as you inhale. And just have just a few breaths here. And when and if you feel ready, you can let go in the right hand and just place the right hand on your abdomen, just below the rib cage. And just have a little sense of being held. You want to try to feel as long as you can from the crown of your head to the toes of that back foot. And is your breath long and slow, even throughout the challenge? And when you're ready to come out, the right hand comes back to support, and then you can bend the left knee on an exhale. Bring that right in towards the chest, and then release it down. Coming up with slightly bent knees, back into Tadasana. And then from here, let's try the warrior 3. This time the right leg will be the standing leg. So you just take your time and just feel
the creation of the pose with your own breath. Maybe today, really all you've got is to raise those arms and to raise one leg. You just go as far as you can as you're ready. If you have come into the full pose, you really remember it's okay for the supporting leg to be bent or slightly bent, but you want that back leg to be as long as it can. Just feel the challenge now. The more you hold it, of course, the harder it gets, and the more strength you're building as well. But you have to go where your body guides you to go. So when you need to come out, it's just a gathering in of the back leg, setting it down, little bend in the knee as you come out. And just be for just a moment in Tadasana. Just get rid of any excess little energy by widening the legs, and then just come into a little spiraling of the body. Back and forth. It's a little, you're lifting up one heel and bending the opposite knee slightly just to protect those knees. But what you want to feel like is you're just slinging off any excess stress or negative energy you built up in your striving. Very good. And slowly come to stillness. Legs come back together. Let's just take our time now and settle to the floor. So go ahead and just come on back to the floor in whatever seated posture you desire right now. So bearing in mind, we've just finished very active standing poses. So we haven't even done any cooling poses. I want you to try to feel the effects of this Brahmari breathing. It's a yogic breathing technique that I quickly demonstrated in the very beginning of class. Important that you're comfortable and you don't need any props. All you need is a comfortable seat. Just have a couple long, slow breaths. Remember, the technique is you're going to breathe fully inward, and then you're going to breathe out with the deepest tone you can, a humming noise. And you want to feel a little vibration in the back of your throat. We need to do this several times for it to really have the effect on the vagus nerve, and create vagal tone. So let's just begin. Nice big inhale. So you want to take it as long as you can, and then when you've exhaled all you have, you're just going to inhale nice and long and slow again. And you're constantly just checking in, trying to take it deep without creating stress. So just explore this. We're going to do it a few times. Remember, just a simple, long, slow inhale inward, and then the humming, deep humming as you exhale, deep in the back of the throat. So you may notice that your nasal passages actually feel moist and a little more open. The other thing this does, besides stimulate the vagus nerve, is it actually releases nitric oxide. It's a really positive effect, and it has a vasonasal dilating effect. It's a really positive thing to do, even though it might feel or sound a little weird. So now that you know how to do that, maybe you can do it before you go to bed at night sometimes and see what it does for you overall. So because we're sort of running out of time, we're going to end on our backs today. So go ahead and just make your way there, coming onto the backs, nice and slowly, feeling the last little bit of effort in your core as it holds you firm, coming to the floor. The legs outstretched. Go ahead and bring your left leg inward. Interlock your hand just above that left shin. And just roll it in on your next exhale just as much as you can. And let's just hold it there for 3 or 4 breaths. And see, as you're holding the leg there, see, can you focus on extending the right leg out? The right foot is as if it's standing on a surface. And energetically feel that right leg getting longer. So it'll have an effect even on the right side of the body and the right side of the spine. Just press out. It's not vigorous. It's sort of gentle, but persistent. That lengthening in the right side of the body. Let your breath be really long and slow. Let the shoulders relax back towards, the shoulder bones relax back towards the ground. Very good. And then you can stretch the left leg up before you lay it down. We'll do the exact same thing on the second side. So you're bringing the right bent leg towards the body. And on your next exhale, you're just cozying it up as much as it wants to go, but you're then focusing on lengthening the left leg. So just a slightly different focus. You want to feel the lengthening even in the left lumbar side of your spine, all the way down towards that flexed foot on the left. And then just relax the weight of your body, shoulders towards the floor, back of your head on the floor. And let your breath be long and slow. And then when you exit the pose, just stretch the right leg up and then release. Let's go ahead and bend both knees and cozy those shoulder blades underneath each other. Arms are out at about a 45-degree angle. And then just cross the right leg nice and tight over the left. And really easily now we're just going to send that both crossed knees and legs over to the right. And gently look towards the left. You're just going as far as you can go comfortably. You're feeling a real opening in the left side body. Big full breath. And then look to center, a little drawing in of your abdominal core as you exhale and come on back up again. And just go over a little bit to the left. And then back. Uncross and recross the opposite direction. Everything stays the same, but this time as you exhale, you're going over to the left, and you can slightly turn your head to the right. And this time you'll feel that little pull on the right side body. Big full breath. And again. And then exit on an exhale, nice firm tummy. And just take the legs over a little bit to the right. Your toes will probably touch the floor a little. And then back to center.
Do any little final movement you feel like you might need. It's really lovely just to separate the groins and thighs and rock side to side, but really try to find what feels good to you right now. And then it's just as and when you're ready, you're going to make your way into the final relaxation of Shavasana. And as you get there, you just want to allow the heaviness and the surrender in your body. Remember, don't skip this part. It's really important, even if you can only do it for a minute or two. Just really settle the weight of your body to the floor. And just feel as though your thinking mind, it may never stop, but just feel as though it goes so broad that you don't focus on any one thought. Just really let yourself release completely. And as you're ready, just let your focus come to a simple observation of your breathing, your own breathing. You're just watching it. And as you surrender more and more, you may notice maybe you're tense in one little particular part of the body, and that's what the observation's about. You just spread your awareness throughout, and as you notice any tension, you can more easily release it. So do stay in the Shavasana just as long as you can. I leave you in Shavasana for today. So namaste. And thank you. See you in the next video.